Much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability. RTD Live Talk. It is Monday night, the 3rd day of the month of December, and we are live. And so sorry about running a little bit late, but for whatever reason, some things don't want to load on my side, but it is what it is. But we're live, so I'm interested in finding out what's going on. How's your weekend? And more importantly, the name of the topic of tonight is more so as open mic to find out what's on your mind. So as always, if we have any new viewers, feel free to let me know where you're watching us from via the chat here, or there's a number above my head that's for you to call in and let me know what's on your mind. So, once again, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late-night YouTube talk show. I don't know of anyone else in the city of Detroit that does it any better. So, I'm happy you guys are able to tune in. Let's find out what's going on. And I welcome, so we got Hebrew Israelite first. We got Chauncey Man, at No One, Mike Valdez, Craig, Professor Curtis. How's everybody doing this evening? And so, one thing I wanted to definitely mention is the passing of former President George H.W. Bush. And it's one of the things where it's sad to say, but I want to be honest and upfront with you guys. When I heard about him passing, I can't say I was extremely moved or even really touched in a way where I felt any type of emotion whatsoever, other than just like, okay, what's new? I mean, whenever someone dies or whatever that nature is, it's always sad. But when it comes to the presidents or politicians in general, I don't really have any type of emotions towards them. I'm definitely not happy or glad or whatever like that. I'm not necessarily sad either. It's like one of them things that just happens to all of us, and so it so happens that the person was a political figure or whatnot. But I want to find out your thoughts on it. I know a lot of people have different viewpoints and depends on what party you're from and all that type of stuff. But human life is no longer on the planet, and that's a tragedy. But yet he lived 94 years, so hopefully, pretty confident he had a pretty good life. And I want to find out your take. So let's talk about that at first, and then other than that, anything else you guys want to talk about, feel free to chime in. But let me know your thoughts on the passing of former president, and also just your thoughts on how things are shaping out for the end of this year. So we got someone says buying silver, buy. Yeah, I saw there's a spike. I think it was this morning, if I'm not mistaken, and the price was, I think it was at $14.50, something of that nature. Let me look at it. It says China. Yeah, let me find out what the price of silver is at this current moment. Anybody know off the top of their head? $14.42. Yeah, man, $14.42 with the 80 to something ratio. It's definitely a screaming opportunity, to say the least. What else we got going? It says, glad to be here. Welcome. It said we got MK Hernandez from Wisconsin. Happy that you guys can join us. Thanks for tuning in. We got Debt by Death says France is burning. The frogs are boiling. Okay, so that's even another topic to talk about as well. We have the yellow jackets, or the yellow coats, whatever they call themselves, out in France, and they seem to be getting out of hand because I have to believe that it's more than just the raising of the tax, rather, on fuel prices there that caused people to, initially get out into the streets. But as I mentioned a while back, it has a lot to do with the fact that unemployment is, I want to say 40 to 50% of the younger population is unemployed. So I'm assuming, like always, it wouldn't take much to get some very disgruntled individuals out in the streets. So But we'll see what happens with that. I definitely don't think it's going to end anytime soon, and it probably will get worse and spread throughout the EU area. It says, will silver be transferable if we go to a cashless society? Transferable. What do you mean by transferable? Elaborate on that a little bit more. It says, George Bush is dead. The world is safe again. So I see where Faith Hunter seems to stand. But I appreciate you sharing that. And that's one of the things, like, and so just that statement alone, being in the alternative media sense, having a different viewpoint than most people, I brought this up because that initial thought was like, okay, that's one less, deep state / corrupt or whatever. I don't want to pass judgment, but based upon information I've gathered over my short time of covering global news and the monetary system, I believe that him and his family plays a major part in this monetary illusion that we're in. And so if one person happens to no longer be a part of this manipulation game and political cover-up that we're in, I'm not really too sad, to say the least. So Faith, I feel you on that one. Edward Diaz, glad you made it, my friend. So tonight's topic is what's on your mind, but we're starting off sweet and simple. We're talking about the passing of former President George H.W. And so I want to find out your guys' thoughts and what was your initial response when you heard about that? And so I'm curious to find out. And then Jeff, we got an article from Jeff. Jeff is all, Jeff, no you didn't. No you didn't. If here's what I says, man, okay. Jeff, man, why you do this to me? We was going somewhere else with this tonight. I didn't want to go to job loss tonight. But so, man, Jeff Doris does a good job of keeping us up to date on what's happening in the news. And so here's an article out of Zero Hedge. I assume it was released today. And it says Ford to announce 25,000 job cuts, according to Morgan Stanley. So I don't know where to go with this, people. I don't know where to go. Whew, so, because here's the thing, and so watch this. So just when I saw Ford to announce, and I saw 25, I'm like, okay, 2,500. But then I see 25,000, and man, I'm in Detroit. This is the Motor City capital of the world here. It used to be anyway, but with all these layoffs, we're not going to be the Motor City capital. We're going to be the unemployment capital of the country type of thing. 25,000 job cuts, people. Oh man, this is serious. And so I sympathize and I feel what's going to happen around this area here, because you got this many layoffs. We got Christmas coming up. We got a new year coming up. And if people ain't employed, ain't nobody spending. But I want to touch on this just a little bit and see what some of the details is, because this could be, some fluff for now. It says one day when the U.S. and European auto stocks rallied, it says following President Trump's tweet, that China might soon agree to reverse its tariffs on U.S.-made cars, Morgan Stanley has published a report that further justifies short-term bull case for autos while possibly infuriating President Trump. So it looks, so infuriating President Trump. So why wouldn't Morgan? So okay, here's a question. First thought coming to mind: Why would Morgan Stanley, one of the financial institutions that's kind of the reason behind all this stuff is going on now, come out with this report unless, as it says here, possibly infuriating President Trump? So we know that President Trump was not very pleased with the idea of GM deciding to close 5 plants here and not closing plants in China and everywhere else. But I'm a little bit I'm not sure what it takes this just yet, but we're gonna work with this tonight and see where we can get with this. So we have a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike.
How you doing?
Mike, it's John in St. Louis, Missouri.
John in St. Louis, Missouri. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Hey, I was just looking at your
Go ahead.
I was thinking about what does rethinking the dollar mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about this for quite some time. I've been following you for a little over a year now.
Okay. So share with us.
Rethinking the dollar, it means to me, I've been diversifying myself as much as I can outside of mainstream vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I got myself a little plot of land, and I'm growing my own food.
Okay.
And I'm doing things that are really outside of the box. And I think that there's a lot of us who are still trying to think in terms of dollars, and we really shouldn't be thinking about that. We should be thinking in terms of value, if that makes sense.
Right, and in value, what retains value in the midst of a digital and paper plastered over monetary system. So value, hey, okay, I'm feeling you right there. Keep going.
Yes, sir. I've been struggling with cryptos.
Mm-hmm.
I understand people wanted to get into cryptos,
mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines with that because I think that the cryptos are kind of like fiat, so I'm getting into it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm spreading myself around as much as I can to not be into fiat like at all.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm thinking that maybe the cryptos are a little too young right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
That's where I'm at. In rethinking the dollar, I'm putting my earnings into places that even if we have the worst possible case scenario,
mm-hmm.
and everything really goes bad, there are some places that you can put your money in
mm-hmm.
that are not going to go to zero like the dollar seems to be going to.
Yep.
Buy yourself land, buy yourself silver and gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Put yourself into positions, even if you only have a little bit of money, put yourself into positions
mm-hmm.
where even if the system collapses, you're still better off than if you were just in fiat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I agree 100%. And, of course, this is all just more so this show is for entertainment purposes, so no financial advice is being given. But I personally encourage myself to just be open-minded to a variety of things and realizing that we're currently in a point that's never really been done before, where the whole planet is being swallowed up in debt. So thinking outside the box, definitely retaining value, land, sticking to the basics that we know what has retained value throughout history is ground zero. And then anything on top of that could be opportunities to consider, but definitely stick to what you know best. So it sounds like you know what is most reliable for you. And so definitely, so cryptos may not be for everybody, but it's definitely here as an asset class. And one way or another, the future is going to be related to that. So I love finding out about new projects and whatnot, just because I like to stay in touch with trends and things. So yeah, man, but definitely, stick to ground zero, and definitely, as always here, the idea of get your weight up. You can't go wrong if you're heavy. So
absolutely.
But appreciate you calling, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Have a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great call as always. Thanks for calling in, my friend. Yeah, man. Can't go wrong with some weight at the end of the day. It's tried, true, and tested. Tried, true, and tested. The 3 T's. Okay, so let's get back to the chat. I missed some things here. So, you know, for those that may be joining in, that we start off tonight, what's on your mind? I wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, what your initial thought was when you heard or saw or read on the screen that former President George H.W. Bush, H.W. Bush, had passed. And so I was sharing, you know, that my thought was I wasn't really moved or touched. I was neutral. I was in between. You know, I wasn't never excited when life is lost, and I am more so sad at the end of the day. But I was neutral in reference to political figures, and so we have another call. So as always, feel free to chime in the chat. Let me know your thoughts, because I want to find out what you think and what was your initial feeling, rather, as I try to answer this call. Hello, caller.
Mike, Tim, Colorado. We got something going on the line here.
Yeah, I got a couple calls at the same. A couple people trying to call at the same time. But no, go ahead. What's in your mind, Tim?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hey, you were asking about Bush Senior. You're being politically correct. Yeah, I was overjoyed. He's killed a lot of people. I think we're over 1 million.
Okay.
Easily.
So yes.
And if you look at Prescott Bush and his entire family, I mean, treason, banking, the whole deal. You know, we're an empire, and they were a legacy family. You know.
Yeah.
Shit. And hey, here you go. You're saying get your weight up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So here, I got a question for you.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Yep.
So. Okay, tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a big interruption in the banking system, and we're going to have to reset the currencies. We go to the SDR internationally, backed by gold, and then they deliver all the countries' version of a cryptocurrency. Okay, backed by their federal systems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we've outlawed precious metals, except for minted precious metals that can now be turned in to their Fed coin or whatever you want to call it, whatever country you're in. And if you can turn those in, but you're only going to get 1/100th of what you paid for it. Or other than that, everything is a felony, and you will be persecuted in 20 years in prison. What do you do?
Ooh, okay, that's a nice scenario there. So I heard all that information, so let me process it. Now it looks like at the end of the day, either you participate or you go to jail. If you participate in the new crypto-based economy, or you go to jail if you try to do anything other. That's basically what it boils down to. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so depending on, your stance, where the economy is at, and if it's a matter of like martial law to where, everything is heavily enforced, and so you're bound to actually, if you try to do commerce with somebody, you'll probably more than likely be told on and arrested and all your stuff stole from you, then at that point, I would figure out there has to be some other medium that can be used outside of precious metals, because assuming I wouldn't want to get rid of my metals either, if it's a martial law situation where they're forcing us to do this or do that. So I would imagine that, like always, people become very creative, and so the barter system in a small communities might actually blossom quite well. And other than that, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on how to answer that question, because it's one of the things where unless you in it, you don't know how you're gonna respond. So I can sit up here and say what I would do, be Mr. Big and Bad, but when push comes to shove, you never know. So that's the question, Tim. You stumped me on that one, my friend. I'm gonna leave it at that one.
No, that's a great response. Thank you as always. Keep up the good work, and next phone call.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you for the challenge. That was a good one.
Okay.
All right. That was a good one, man. That was a good one. So, for those that heard that question, if you guys want to chime in on that as far as your answer, feel free to let me know, because it's one thing to say what you're going to do, but it's another thing to actually do it when your back's against the wall and, the pressure is being placed on you to make a finite decision. So definitely feel free to let me know what's going on there. And so let me get back to the chat here. Somebody said they got 60 ounces of silver came in the mail today. Okay, MK. Getting his weight up big time. It says, question, did you read the article of Belgium protesting tax hikes? I did not. I did not read that. But I will definitely check that out. So the question is it just income tax hike, gas, petroleum, or I'm curious as to find out exactly what. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Toronto.
Toronto. How you doing, my friend? What's your name?
Toby.
Toby. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Well, I was actually just listening to the other guy talking about the confiscation of the gold. That happened in 1932.
Yeah, and that. So it's happened before. So we have an example of what does happen, but also, from what I've read and gathered, it was one of the things where a lot of people, especially not in the metropolitan areas, did not turn in their gold, and so
no, and I don't think you probably I wouldn't. I don't think. Well, I mean, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it is kind of thing. You would have to kiss your silver goodbye. You'd have to bury it and give it away to generations in the future. You wouldn't be able to keep it in that sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is a good question.
That's a good question. It's one of the things where we've never been confronted with something of that nature at this point in time, given the fact that there's so much. There's other options out there. So, silver and gold, of course, is the hedge to get you through time as system resets and restructures. But in the near term, I wouldn't really see myself wanting to do any get rid of my silver or gold, especially, bigger, greater weight. And so that's why I love fractional things like the dimes and, just 1 gram silver things right now, like 50 cents.
Yeah, no, the smaller stuff is good. I don't have smaller stuff, I must admit.
Yeah. Yeah. So my thing is, I do believe there could be possibly a situation where you could have, depending on how you're storing it, where you're located at, there could be a such thing as too much weight. Because if you're I think someone called in one time and they said they got a couple 100-ounce bars, and I'm thinking if you have a vault, if you got something, whatever, it might be easier to store that, but you're not gonna pick up and start running with no 100-ounce bars in your hand if you got to move quickly. So, yeah, I mean, we'll find out. But at the end of the day, the primary message here is to make sure you have something. And I believe having something will do you better than the majority that have nothing. So, but yeah, that's what it is, man. But yeah, thanks for your call, man. I appreciate you calling from Toronto.
I also have another question for you. Have you
ahead.
ever looked into the Organic Act of 1871?
Organic Act of 1871?
It's when the District of Columbia was created.
Okay. Not directly. But go ahead.
Washington. Well, that basically, if you've ever heard the theory of London or Britain managed to own the states after the Civil War because they went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And they had to pay it. And to the city of London. That happened through when they became the District of Columbia.
Okay. So I've heard of it, never looked into it, but as you're speaking about it, I pulled up something here in reference to it. And so I can actually put that on my screen so those that are watching can actually see as well. And so District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871 is an act of Congress that repealed the individual charters of the city of Washington and Georgetown and established a new territorial government for the whole District of Columbia. It says though Congress repealed the territorial government in 1874, the legislation was first to create a single municipal government for the federal district. Okay.
Yeah, it was basically punishment to Virginia, right, for fighting for the South.
Okay. So yeah,
because Washington was in Virginia. That was part of what how George Washington convinced what's his name, Benjamin Franklin and Madison, I think it was, to get Virginia to join on the Confederation.
Yeah.
Back in 1789, right? He said you can have the capital in Virginia, and he built it on Foggy Bottom, right next to Baltimore, right next to Maryland, which is right next to where he lived, right?
Yeah.
And in 1871, because they were so bankrupt, it's interesting. I've been spending a lot of time looking at the Civil War in in the States, and it's nothing like what you thought it was.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And that's the
Like,
thing.
it was all about getting control of the American, the American government, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, or especially
the American economy.
It's like and the establishment of our government, because this stuff here, apart from actually focusing on it and knowing your acts, because this is the Act of 1871. This is not necessarily a monetary thing, so I never really covered it. But yeah.
Well, look at the coinage. Look at the Mintage Act of 1873. That's when they basically made silver illegal. You can no longer take silver into mints and have it minted.
The crime of 1873 is what they refer to it as. Yeah, so that's where we went off the silver standard, and then the whole gold became the standard for everybody, of which not many people had gold apart from people who were already wealthy. So it left the people's money out of of no value to a lot of people. So that was initially when the tide turned of pretty much pure financial freedom being removed from the public, because everybody had silver because that was money for the common folk, and then the gold bugs became the primary source. Now everybody thinks it's a gold standard, but having a bimetal standard will probably do better than just a single gold standard. So yeah, but definitely.
Did you ever watch the Wizard of Oz thing?
The Wizard of you referring to not the Wizard
of Oz?
The Secret of Oz? Yeah. I had what's his name? I had him on here before.
Bill Still.
Yeah, Bill Still. Yeah, Bill Still. I had him on a couple years ago. Yeah. So a part of my education came from watching guys like that. So yeah. So definitely that's
a lot of like where I started came from that too.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been great talking to you, man.
Thanks,
I love
man.
watching your show.
I appreciate your call in, buddy. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, man. Good stuff as always. Good stuff as always. Found out something new that I did not know or wasn't aware of at this current moment. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, so what's going on, people? I'm missing some things in the chat. A lot of activity in the chat as always. What else we got going on here? It says Bush Sr. was openly driving the NWO movement. Bush put so someone says Bush put crack in black communities, so I don't give a damn. Okay, I hear that. Yeah. Okay. So just based off that question there, let me just add to that topic in reference to illegal substances, and so we are everywhere tonight. So bear with us, people. If we want to get back to the primary topic, put it in the chat. And so as far as illegal substances, so in Michigan, starting December 6th, I heard marijuana's going to be legal, up to 2 grams or something of that nature, and so it's going to change the whole, everything's going to change a lot here, even though we've already had those little medicinal marijuana kiosks up and down 8 Mile Road, which is, for those that don't know, 8 Mile is the movie 8 Mile, Eminem, all that stuff like that. It's a big street going north, east-west of Detroit, and there's every corner, there's a Coney Island, a liquor store, a gas station, and a marijuana kiosk spot. All 4 you can guarantee within a half-a mile radius on each corner. So anyway, so now that marijuana is legal, that plays into the question of the idea that illegal drugs, as far as opioids and all the spin-offs of those, crack, cocaine, heroin, all that stuff, if all that stuff was just legal and they allow people to do what they choose, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. A lot of people would just go overboard and kill themselves. But think about the idea that the prison population would not be full. The jail would, just have more so murderers in them and whatever else comes from that. But being that most of the population is drug related, give or take, just goes to show that there's no real interest in helping society prosper individually, especially, or certain communities or ethnic groups, because drugs. People sell drugs because they call it an occupation or they want money. But if it was not illegal, then people wouldn't need to sell it. The government could tax it and make revenue off of it. But the idea that it's a part of the system and is meant to make sure that it suppresses a major portion of our population here in the country is not good. So yeah, but if you guys have thoughts on that, let me know. But I just wanted to mention that because of the comment here about the jails being full, or the communities being full of crack. Yeah, because area I grew up in, Detroit, when I was younger, it was loaded with a lot of drug activity, and now the area is nowhere near what it used to be because everyone's gone. And so it says here, 1871, we were sold out and became a corporation, and the Constitution was suspended. Yes, James. I've heard that a lot of times, agree with it, believe it, but it's one of the things now where even that being a fact, probably, that, where the Constitution is not really a legal document anymore that we are obligated under because it was null and void when we were sold out and all the things that go with that. But most people don't even care, unfortunately, about that. And then at this point now, apart from small movements coming out saying and sharing information about it, it wouldn't gain popularity. It wouldn't gain a lot of notoriety for people to actually have a case to even prove to anybody. You couldn't go to your political figures, especially nowadays. A lot of politicians would have no clue about that because they don't even care really. So it's one of them arguments of like, there's no one's going to win with that. And so, yeah, I'm not sure where those conversations usually go. It says, we got a bar, a liquor store, a gun shop, same shopping center. A gun shop next to the liquor store and a bar. So low blood pressure, what city is that in? I'm curious. Because that spells a problem right there. So you get into a fight because you had too much liquor, you get a gun, you go to the bar. That spells trouble. That's a bad combination on one corner. It says crime is big business. That's very true. And, come to find out, private, what's it called? I was going to say jails or whatever the official word for it is. Private, since, most of prisons and things of that nature are all privately owned, and, the government funds them or gives grants and stuff like that. It's a big business too. So I understand how it's unfortunate they make money off of, giving people life in prison and giving people time that don't really equal the crime, if that's a good way of putting it. It says North Carolina is talking about voting on weed next election. So I believe that, pretty much it's going to be all 50 states, continental states and all that stuff like that pretty soon, just because the people want it. And I think the government could use the tax revenue, basically, because where else are they going to get the tax revenue from other than raising taxes or raising gas prices like they did in France? And I don't think Americans will hit the street over, a gas tax. But, what would it take for the American public to hit the streets other than some type of banking situation or some type of government subsidy, comes to an end, or there's a hiccup in the EBT cards or something like that. So it says Leopard, St. Corpus Christi, Texas. Okay. So yeah, and so Texas, Texas. Okay. It's been a while since I've gone to Texas, so I guess that's how you guys get down in Corpus Christi. I'm not familiar with it though, so I can't speak on it. The walls of the shops literally touch each other, really. And the sad thing is it's probably owned by the same person, so that person will always have business in one way or another. It says the prison industrial complex. There you go. Kindergarten to prison pipeline. Okay, George, that's a good one right there. The prison industrial complex. I like that one. So we got a lot of complexes. If you look at that, we got the military military industrial complex. Yep. And then we got the prison. And then what else? Give me some others out there that come to mind. This whole country's a damn complex, if that's even possible. So we got some more articles from Mr. Jeff. Jeff is the official RTD News contributor. Jeff, I appreciate you, buddy. So we got one from Michael Snyder. It says, unstable planet. Anchorage, Alaska is devastated by a giant 7.0 earthquake. Wow. Okay, I'm going to pull this on the screen. 7.0 earthquake. Is the West Coast next? Ah, man, that's I wasn't aware of that. But I'm curious, and I'm wondering, because I always grew up. Whoa, here's a video here. Here's a video here of the roads opening up. I'm always curious, and I'm actually going to play this so people can see. It looks like it's just so imagine driving down the road and the road opens up on you. That'd be something different, wouldn't it? Man, I would hate to have fallen into that crack there, because the shock and just the suspense of like, okay, how far am I going down? I definitely would be a little, a little scared there. But I'm sure I'm not the only one. And so let me see here. So I'm curious to find out. One thing that I always heard growing up is that California was going to fall off the continent, that they are right on the fault lines in between the desert, and California was going to become an island, if not sink. I've never really dived into it because I don't cover all that type of stuff. But, when I hear about 7.0 earthquake above, way far, a little bit further north, but still, I think about, first thing came out was California. California's going to fall off the continent or fall in and become a separate entity or something of that nature. So I'm not sure where that even came from. But yeah, the earth is clearly speaking to us. The question is, are we listening? And so it's one of them things where we inhabit her or it. And so we are subject to it. So if we take care of it, whatever that means, then I think, it'll take care of us. I mean, that's what God designed us to have dominion over this planet. So it's not supposed to take us out. It's supposed to be a blessing to us. And so we'll see what happens with that. But I don't want to stray too far away from what got us here. As you see, we be on a variety of topics tonight. So I want to make sure I get everybody's calls in. And I see a lot of weight questions and thoughts. A tenth of an ounce of silver was a day's wage. So basically a dime. I remember, because it's been a while now, but I usually go through news archives, and I go back to early 1900s, late 1800s, and there's actually news sources where you can go back to read 1700, 1800 early newspapers, and just the style of writing then, of course, was a lot different, but it was true journalism, so that's why I enjoy reading those archives. But I'll find a search word or something of that nature, and I'll just study it. And finding out a daily wage. I'm thinking about Henry Ford, especially here in Detroit. Henry Ford paid his employees like $1.50 was a going rate for a day. And then it ended up going up to $5. And that was like, unheard of. And so imagine, working for a dime, but it being sufficient enough to take care of your needs, where your wife can stay at home and raise the kids. And that's a big problem with our society today, man. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? All right, looks like I lost somebody. Feel free to call back in if you want to be on the air. So yeah, we can go all day with that one. It says medical. What it says? Medical. I missed some things. Medical industrial complex. Okay, so that's 3. Military, prison, medical, pharmaceutical industrial complex. I say put cocaine back in Coca-Cola. The war on drugs is a scam. Yeah, and I see the war on drugs. There's no war. It's a strategic business. It's a business. That's ran by the people that control everything. Hello, caller. What's your name?
For extension 0.
Uh-oh. Got a couple phone lines going off here. Hello? Hello? Miss somebody. I apologize for that. Give me a call back and we get you on here. I gotta figure out how to. Yeah, so disconnect the error. So I apologize for that. Feel free to call again. I'll try to make it work for you. And so it says banking industrial complex. Man, so that's 5 complexes right there. We're in trouble. I started at 100 ounces of silver, and it says saving silver equals 1 ounce per person each day. Patrick James for a year. Hopefully I can get this call right. I feel bad that but it's one of the things where I'm trying to answer. Yeah, so I'm attempting to answer the call, and let me see if it works with me here. Let's try it again. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, unfortunately, well, outside of my control. You're attempting to answer the phone. It's not answering, so I can't cry over it. Not sure what it is, but as always, if it's not the computer or something of that nature, I'm at the mercy of technology. So I apologize for that. Hopefully I can get some calls in, but if I can't, feel free to ask whatever it is you want to ask in the chat, and I'll try to get to it. And it says here, help me understand 1,000s upon thousands tons of gold come out of the mines in South Africa, yet when it leaves the country, it becomes untraceable. How so? Ooh, that's a good one there. So basically, how does all the minerals, gold, silver, everything else that leaves this country, the country of South Africa, when it leaves, it goes underground? Because, just my opinion, never been to South Africa, but everything that's privately owned, in my opinion, to my knowledge, or if it's not owned by a private corporation, it's owned and operated under the government, but then the government is in there's the England, for the most part, is in the hands of the government there. So a lot of things there will go under the radar, and that's just how things are done there. And South Africa has a lot of problems on a variety of fronts. So it's crime upon crime. That's all I can say. Crime upon crime. Says Florida has a better chance of separation. Florida has a better chance of separation, or going underwater. Since the state is basically is at or right below sea level or whatever it is. So, one good flood or something like that could swallow Florida up completely, to where it'll be under the water. Might be the same for California, I'm not even sure. Says, can you bring back Chris Dwayne for interview, please? Been doing great work lately. Yeah, Chris Dwayne, I will. I'll make a note to reach out to him. And he's one of the gentlemen that, reason I haven't had him on in a while, or other than, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, was because over the last couple of years, he's a pro-silver guy. So I kind of got a feel for what he's going to share with us. And his primary avenue is through his private is his own silver line, and then he's anti everything else for the most part. So I don't necessarily agree with that completely. That's why I haven't had him on before, because he's kind of get an idea of what he's going to talk about. But at the request of you guys, I will definitely put that out there and invite him on, and we can do a live stream. It'll probably be like an afternoon live stream, but I'll definitely reach out to him. It says abortion industrial complex. The leftovers go into Pepsi, giving it a special flavor. Ooh, okay, that's different. That's different. George Carlin, freedom. Okay, that's different. It says Al Gore, the inventor of the internet, said Florida was supposed to be underwater in 2012. Yeah, anybody? Yeah. Whenever I hear the word Al Gore, I personally pay it no mind. So I have no clue or interest of anything about Al Gore. And so, man. Yeah, attempt the phone, and for whatever reason, it's one of the things where it's not working on my end. So we may be done for the evening on in reference to calls. So it's one of the things where I can't control it. It's through an app service. So if it goes bad, I can't do anything about it. So I apologize for the inconvenience and headache, but hello? Someone's there. Hello? Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Hey there.
This is James.
James, how you doing, my friend?
I'm calling from Texas.
James from Texas. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, I was calling for a couple of things. One, on the death of George W.
Okay.
It was far too late. He should have been gone a long time ago. He had already lived his life, done everything he wanted to do, so it was absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I mean, it would have been the same as if Hitler would have died at this age. You understand? He should have went before he became president.
Okay. So yeah, keep it real. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to say that about George W. I have no feeling for him dying at this late of the game.
Yeah.
You understand? Also, I just wanted to say I think you do a great job. I listen to you quite often.
Thanks,
and
sir.
I am getting my weight up just like everybody else.
I appreciate that. Thanks, my friend. Appreciate you calling in.
All right.
All right. Have a good night. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so it sounds like no love lost there in reference to former president there. So that's real, man. Everybody has their own take on the matter. I just wanted to get everybody's thought. And given the fact that if you're in an alternative media space, we all have a different viewpoint on political figures. So it's a no-brainer that people would more than likely, be on the about time or not excited, but not there's no love lost, put it like that. I mean, it's just no love lost given what we know and what he's done and, things of that nature from the alternative side. That's the other side of the coin. Like the mainstream media tell you just this side of the coin. But on the other side, there's a lot of things that, he did that was probably not beneficial for his people, our country rather. So, yeah, so we keep it moving. It says, you don't believe me, research it. What's that? Don't believe what? Let me see. I missed a comment there. Let me see. George, don't believe you. Oh, not that I don't believe you. Well, let me see. I'm going to figure out what we're talking about here. Let me see. I lost the comment. It says Bruce Dave Morgan was just on RTD last week. Yeah. Mr. Morgan joined us. And so what I've noticed, and I was mentioning this the other day, that the beginning of the year, definitely getting a lot more views as far as my interviews and whatnot. But mid through summer and on, it's like I've been put at a cap to where I noticed that, YouTube does no extra anything to promote RTD whatsoever, like no recommended views or anything of that nature, because what used to be getting consistent views now barely gets views. So I'm like, obviously I'm doing a good job because they don't want people to watch. So I consider it somewhat of a thumbs up on my end. So it is what it is, but I'm going to keep doing what I do just because I enjoy it and get a chance to connect with people such as you. So definitely, it's definitely worth my time. Definitely worth my time. So I'd rather have George W. Bush over W. Bush. Yeah, I stay away from the Bushes, period. I'm not a Bush person myself. But yet just a position, just a presidential position nowadays comes with risk. Because whoever's in office at this point of the game, they know the game, so they have to play it or they won't be chosen to even run to be elected by the people. So I don't really play it too much. Says it's provided she is retarded. George, yeah. So yeah, I heard something about the young lady from New York, the Cortez senator or representative Cortez, whatever she is. Yeah, she's pure house socialist. She was chosen. And the thing is that, understanding how this political stuff works, she was chosen to stand in front of the crowd out of New York, a female Latino American. That's just timely, so she, mark my words, in this next presidential go around, for some reason, she's going to be a candidate for the Democratic Party. And all of the this is a fresh thought. All of the migrants along the border now, just sitting there, give or take how everything plays out. If they're led into this country, she has a very strong population. She has a very strong fan base, I'm sure, given the cultural relations and the fact she's a female and, all that stuff like that. And she's socialist minded. So she's going to be promising all types of things that she can't deliver. So she may actually have, they will position her as a Democratic favorite. And watch, she's going to be a candidate that goes far. Give or take what happens between now and 2 years from now. We'll see if she actually gets the nomination. And low key, she could be the next president. That's just how things go. Because Hillary was supposed to be, but she's not. So we still need a female, to go through that process to become a leader or whatever for our country. Then, as my viewpoints is that, it was supposed to be Hillary. Then after that, we need a transgender or, someone of the LGBT community type of thing. And that's what we need. That's where this thing is going, man. So it is what it is. It says 21 trillion quadrillion. How different does it make? 21 trillion quadrillion. Man, that's a big number. It says China and Russia will not be on top. China is trying to use their military control there. Ooh, okay. Oh, I came across an article the other day that mentioned how the U.S. now secretly is starting to have more of a military presence on the continent of Africa. And so there's military bases. I think there's one starting, or one that's being positioned now. I think it's in Nigeria, I think, or Ghana, somewhere where they weren't welcome before, but all of a sudden now they're welcome. And so I said that because this whole China and Russia, and we know China's, trying to expand their influence to the African continent, and they're putting military bases there as well. We know Russia has some things going on in Africa as well. So Africa is the next hot spot where development and growth will come through, because they're going to extract all their wealth and help the African people become credit-based, credit-induced, to where they're going to extract their wealth and sell it back to them on credit. So military bases are about to pop up in Africa, and I think the U.S. is, if they don't want to lose their dollar hegemony, they're going to definitely be in Africa. I'm not even going to say that, low blood pressure. You won't even hear that come out of my mouth. I'm not going to do it. Guyana. Yeah, hit that like button. Does a lot to already notice. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Yeah, as always, if you guys have been watching, feel free to give us a thumbs up. It won't hurt anybody. Just show your support, shows your love for the channel. Appreciate it. Says C. Mike does like a good conspiracy. Women, tyrant prayers, moral. Okay, one step closer. Yeah, and there's a big plan that partially might be slightly delayed, give or take what's going on, because I'm not quite sure. And if Trump was a part of the overall plan, they did a hell of a good job of positioning him, because he got a bunch of the country wearing red hats talking about make America great again. And I'm not sure exactly what great means, but a lot of people out there thinking that this individual is going to definitely bring change. So we'll see. But until I see the special investigations and some indictments, some treason, some trials, and some, yeah, I'm not going to believe it. So I'm not going to ride that bandwagon just yet. It says Israel get free stuff from U.S. for free and hands it over to China. Awesome deal for China. Yeah, that's not a bad trade-off. Not a bad trade-off at all. We have another caller, and this will probably be the last call of the evening. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, my dog? My name is Tyrone. How you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend. Thanks for calling. Where you calling in from?
Well, I just moved into the neighborhood, actually. I just wanted to say hello.
Okay. What's on your mind tonight?
You see, I'm actually required by my probation officer to inform my neighbors that I moved into the neighborhood.
Okay. That's good things. I appreciate you letting me know that.
Yeah, I did some time in the joint. I just got out, actually.
Okay. Well, definitely make sure you stay clean and make sure you do what you got to do so you don't got to go back, my man. I appreciate you calling in.
I mean, don't get scared or nothing. It wasn't for anything too serious.
Okay, it's good. But no, what's in your mind tonight? Anything serious?
I just got locked up for indecent exposure.
Okay, and so I appreciate you calling in, taking the time to call in, but, we're having a chat here. I want to keep it on the matters at hand, so thanks, my friend.
It's not a big deal, really. I honestly just have a hard time keeping my Shamlam doubly.
Fair enough. I appreciate you. Welcome to the neighborhood, buddy. Yeah, so let's keep it moving. Yeah, man. But also, we're on that hour point, so there's some things you gotta laugh at. Some things, that was funny. I'm glad it was somewhat clean. And so yeah, but I keep my hand on the dial, so in case I gotta hang up right away, I gotta do that sometimes. But it is what it is, man. It's what's that, pranks? Oh yeah, so like I think it was last week, some people called in or in the chat was acting silly. I pay it no mind. If you have time to call in, I mean, if you got time to call in and chat and that's your life, that's your time. So obviously you ain't got nothing to do with your time. So I'm not mad at you. So I appreciate those that are here to get connected and stay in tune and get your weight up. That's what we're all about here, trying to help people think outside of the old dying paradigm of fiat-based, unbacked debt instrument notes. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, it says, when you are born into this world, you are born into a freak show. And if you are born in America, you get a front row seat. Ooh, that's a good point. That's I can relate to that. And having saw and traveled a little bit, I'm glad to be in the front row. I'm glad to be in the front row. I would hate to be in the trunk. That's where the third world countries, you know, are positioned at. So, yeah, but being in the front row for now is better than being anywhere else in the vehicle. So I'll take that. Yeah, man. So, no, I wasn't saying either of Bush presidents were great. Thank you. It was a train wreck. Yeah, everybody, and I see like that position, as I mentioned before, that position, you're doomed to fail because in order to get that position, you got to play along with the narrative. And that seat in that office was bought and paid for a long time ago when Woodrow Wilson basically sold out our country. And so when Woodrow Wilson gave the monetary powers of our nation over to a private institution, that was basically the removal of all power because as Rothschild said, whoever controls the money controls the nation or something of that nature. That right there was the last time we had any chance of having someone in there that would be operating our best interest, that or JFK. But, you know, we'll leave that alone as it is. It says, how about trade war truce with China, 90-day intermission? Yeah, so 90-day intermission, not sure exactly what will be done in between. So hopefully it turns into be a full-fledged, you know, tariff removal and we get back to some type of normalcy. But I believe that Trump is probably enjoying this because of his mandate to shake things up and to cause problems and to solidify his legacy. Because think about it, no matter what, every president at the end want to be remembered favorably, just like former administration Obama wanted to be, you know, so here's a way to really know at the end of the day, it's about your legacy, getting through your terms if you do two, and then having a legacy so you can get your museum in your city or whatever. You get your book deals, you get your speaking gigs, which is what all presidents get. And so this is how I knew something was funny, because when you see a former president, Obama, out on a campaign trail, hitting city to city like he's running again, but he's just promoting and telling people to vote and how important his vote was, that lets me know that he was concerned about the true direction of this country because of his legacy. And so the fact that he was willing to get out there and campaign for people he didn't know, other than the fact that it's a political party he was doing it for. And then, you know, I saw a lot of mainstream articles saying that Obama doesn't want Trump to get all the credit, or Obama, you know, comments that he started the recovery. Like, why would you care? Like, unless you felt threatened that perhaps you really didn't have a say so in the so-called expansion, which we all know is not real. And so it's artificial and it's coming to an end. And so coming to an end is where this thing will end. And as we get ready to dial off, I want to make sure I bring up this article again, because if it is true, which I have no reason to believe that it's not true, this article here, Ford to announce 25,000 job cuts. If this and when this jumps off, 25,000 from Ford and 14,000 from GM, that's 39,000 jobs in a short period of time. Is not good. It will not be a new year, great Christmas holiday season or a new year for 39,000 plus families. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, this is Jeff from Florida. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Jeff. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Good. I just wanted to, I know you're to the end of the show, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. If you see, I sent you a link earlier, and Ford said they lost over $1 billion this year, part of all these tariffs and trade wars that's been going on, and that was back in October. So the writing's been on the wall with some of these companies laying off. And also, to add to that, I sent you a link, I don't know, it just came out today, and Walmart says that they're actually having robots. They're bringing in robots to like mop the floors and all that. So if you click on the link I sent you, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because it seems like the more these people go out and say, I want $15 an hour minimum wage, all these middle-class jobs are going to be gone and wiped out. And then if you gradually see, like when I was a kid, I was growing up, I was 15, 16 years old. I had a job bagging groceries, right? So I had to go out there and move people's shopping carts and bag up the groceries and all that.
Yeah.
Well, now if you go to the grocery store, the cashier, you got 8 cashiers going, 8 baggers going, and they got one person there to run 8 you scan checkout links.
Yeah.
So if you see that the technology is getting more and more advanced, I mean, you got more technology in your little smartphone than what they had back in the day to send a man to the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how advanced as technology is getting.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I know it's kind of hard to believe it, but if you just go to Google and you punch in Walmart robot, you'll see a picture of what I'm talking about. I was in the hospital the other day, and I saw a full-size robot. I mean, this thing was about 5-6 foot tall, and its job was just to run around and disinfect rooms. And it wasn't like some little 2 foot tall robot. This was about a 5-6 foot tall robot.
Yeah.
So if you just click on the link that I sent you, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll let you go because I know you're towards the end of your show. I just wanted to come in and talk to you real quick. You have a good night, okay?
I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing that.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man, that's different. So you factor in, here we got robot janitors are moving into Walmart. So we have these automated machines that will go up and down the aisles, cleaning floors. And then, another thing, Jeff, that I noticed personally is that a lot of, and I know in like not Walmart, but a couple grocery store chains around me or whatever, whenever I go there, I always see a variety of ages now of people bagging groceries. Like I see senior citizens now bagging groceries. And so, it used to be, kids doing it for, weekend money or raising money for a car or whatever. But now I'm noticing more senior citizens out working, especially greeters in Walmarts, and I'm definitely in the hospitals or whatever, volunteering now, and if we're supposed to be in an economic expansion, everything is good and everything's peaches and cream. This is just a bad sign for when reality sets in and people realize that we're not really as good as they say we are. So I definitely think that it's going to be very shocking come this next year, man. It's going to be something to keep our eyes on.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, hi. I'm actually an Australian journalist calling from Minnesota.
From New Zealand?
No, Minnesota.
Minnesota, okay.
Australian journalist. Just, yeah.
All right, what's in your mind?
We're talking about the job cuts here. I heard that the BTC is on the rise. So let's talk about
Okay, may have lost you there. If that was a serious call back. If not, no love lost. All right, man. So we're coming out to the end of the conversation this evening. The live stream was great. And so, definitely we got back and forth a little bit. And let me see what's happening in the chat. But appreciate everybody joining us and whatnot. And definitely the most shocking thing of this evening that really, was, not expected was to see news in reference to Ford announcing 25,000 job cuts. I wasn't anticipating that. And so I appreciate you. But, we're going to log off, so I appreciate the person's trying to call in. But yet, save it for tomorrow night. We'll be back here. Let me know what's in your mind as always. Or leave a comment down in the chat, and we'll try to get your questions answered, or we'll cover it tomorrow night. But we're well past our hour point. So I wanted to just, bring this to your attention, man. And so this is, and so as I said, and I'm going to keep saying, this upcoming year, it's not on pace. It's not on good footing for a lot of families, and this is just. And so think about the industries that's going to be impacted most. We got manufacturing, automotive, any type of retail, brick and mortar stores, and we'll see what other industries out there that will be impacted. But yeah, and so if your profession is solely based upon your hands and not your skills and any excess value that you can bring as far as your creativity or ideas, then there might be some shifting around. So just something where, it's something worth thinking about, man. Like the importance of probably diversifying your skill sets, picking up a new hobby or something that people need or want is definitely going to be big. I personally, as a little side note, I just came across a book. So I'm studying neuroscience and quantum physics, and so I'm reading a really good book right now. And so once I finish, I'll give you guys more input on it. But I didn't know I was into neuroscience and quantum physics until now. So, but I'm really enjoying it, and so that's not sure what to do with it other than just it's more so mental preparation and understanding the mind, because everything starts from our thoughts. So controlling our thoughts is key. So that's where I'm at this point in my life. So, but anyway, that's just me. I thought I would share that just because that's something that I enjoy talking about. So anyway, other than that, people, it's been great having you guys on, man. Thanks for tuning in with your boy tonight. And as always, it's been good to have you guys give us some good back and forth. More importantly, if you are watching us, don't be afraid to give us a thumbs up in the chat, and we can keep this thing moving. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m., and we can talk some more and find out what's on your mind. So other than that, as always, it's a pleasure and a blessing to have you guys joining us. Be safe, be blessed, and if you guys are interested, above here, Patreon, Bitcoin, whatever you want to do to be a blessing to the channel, if the Lord so moves you, feel free to do so, and I appreciate the blessing. So other than that, be safe.